3 Ways to Transform and Document Management and Content Creation webinar. We'll be having a little discussion based on the London Research data and how organisations can make the most out of Gen AI whilst addressing security concerns. So I'm Brough, Solutions Consultant at Adobe, and joining me today is Linus. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Linus.
Hi everyone, great to see such a good crowd here, international as well. Yeah, so I'm Linus Gregoriadis, Director at London Research. My background is as an analyst writing and talking about digital technology trends, and really pleased to be here to share some of the findings from some research we've done in partnership with Adobe. Thanks, Will.
No problem. We've got some great content prepared over the next 35 to 40 minutes. But before we get started, I've just got a few housekeeping items just to go over. So for the best viewing experience, we recommend using Google Chrome, as it's the best platform to use while using the platform that you're using today, which is Adobe Connect. If you've got any issues with Connect, for example, sound or connection issues, please leave the webinar, clear your cookies and rejoin. And my colleague will also be adding an Adobe diagnostic test in the chat for you just to test your connection. If you'd like to ask any questions today, please refer to the Q&A pod rather than the meeting chat, as myself and Linus will only be monitoring the Q&A pod for questions towards the end. So, but we'll do our very best to answer them all, as of course. And the session is going to be recorded and available on demand in just a few days. So please keep an eye out for that in your inbox as well. And finally, towards the end, there'll be a QR code added to the screen. So it'd be brilliant if you could complete that, as your feedback is invaluable to us delivering better webinars and on topics that you'd like to see in the future. So I'll head to our agenda now. So first off, we're going to be taking a look at the overview of AI and the business context which the research has either brought to attention or confirmed. We'll then be having a look at some of the key benefits of deploying AI in an enterprise and some of the main uses for it as well, including some of the use cases that we have at Adobe. After that, we'll showcase what the research has shown for attitudes and feelings towards AI and what it can do for both enterprises and individuals. And then finally, we'll look at some of the challenges and recommendations to highlight moving forward. So I'll begin by giving you a quick sort of level set of what generative AI is. So obviously it's generative artificial intelligence. So what that is artificial intelligence that can create a new content such as text, images, and even entire documents, all by learning from existing data. It's sort of like having a smart assistant that can help you generate content quickly and efficiently. Generative AI does this by using advanced machine learning to analyze large patterns from large data sets. But specifically in Adobe Document Cloud, what I'll be going into a little bit today, we use the power of generative AI to enhance our document management and creation tools. And in Acrobat Assistant specifically, it can help you generate summaries, suggest edits, and even create new content based on your output. So now it's time for our first poll question. And that's going to be we're asking how advanced is your organization in utilizing Gen AI for document management and content creation? Obviously, people's perceptions may be slightly different on what advanced may look like, but just answer to what you think is most relevant.
Thanks, Will. I'll come in here and let's look at the results of this poll question. We can see that for around 3/4 of those of you doing the poll, it's a case of we're just starting out. Around a quarter saying that they've made progress, but it's still early days. And only around 6% say they're already getting significant benefits. So that really makes me feel positive about the value of the research we've done and hopefully the value of the webinar as well. A lot of you are just making kind of tentative steps in your journey to really sort of reaping those benefits from Gen AI. It's something that's been around. Well, AI has been around for a number of years now, but with Gen AI, we really seem to be reaching a tipping point in terms of how organizations can use technology to move forward. And we really wanted to look specifically about how organizations can use Gen AI to scale and automate their content production and document management, which is the focus of this session. So there's obviously been a lot of hype in this area, and a lot of so much has been written about it. But the idea here is really to look at our research and give you some use cases that you can take back into your organizations, and recommendations and insights as well. So London Research, we partnered with Adobe to really get more of a grip on how businesses perceive the benefits and challenges of Gen AI in document management and related areas. And the methodology we used for the research was a survey of 450 really senior business people across the UK, France, and Germany. So this was C-suite respondents and directors and predominantly heads of department across those businesses. And we produced 3 separate reports, all on the same theme, which you can see here, the sort of thumbnails for those. So that there's the digital vision leaders view. So by digital vision leaders, we mean CIOs, CTOs, digital strategists. So those really at the forefront of deciding how technology can be used to drive forward their businesses. The second report is on the functional business leaders view. So this is through the lens of those heads of different departments within the organization, whether that's marketing or sales or legal or procurement or HR. So that gives that perspective. And the third and final report of the series is the IT specialist view. And that looks obviously through the lens of senior IT managers and compares some of the results with non-IT specialists. And we'll be looking at that in this presentation as well. And yeah, I should say at this point that at the end of the webinar, there'll be a link so you can access those reports if you want to sort of dive a bit deeper into the research. Okay, so as part of the research, we wanted to look at the bigger picture. What's the context that's really making organizations look at Gen AI and to really explore what's driving adoption. So before our survey, we did some initial qualitative research, interviews with businesses, talking more with consultants at Adobe. And what came out of that was that the key priorities for those digital vision leaders was maximizing long-term investments while minimizing time to ROI, improving both the customer and employee experience, and strategically embracing new top technologies, especially AI, to drive their businesses forward. So in the survey, we had a question around key priorities for organizations over the next year, and the ones that came out on top, that's in the pink there, the high priority security. 81% of respondents said that security was high priority, and around 3/4 said that digital transformation, customer engagement and satisfaction, and employee productivity were all key priorities for their businesses. So this is the backdrop against which a lot of organizations are exploring how they can make better use of Gen AI. Okay, and this specifically looks at some of the key trends, a couple of the key trends from the perspective of functional business leaders. So that's those heading up the different business departments within organizations. And the drive to reduce costs and increase productivity through better technology is having, as we can see, a really major impact, both in terms of reducing business costs and also increasing business productivity through automation and optimized workflows. So that covered some of the context, and we're now going to look specifically at some of the benefits and use cases. So what's in terms of the benefits, what's the carrot for organizations to really be utilizing Gen AI? And also from the perspective of different departments and individuals, what are the specific use cases in the context of content and document management? So we can see here, if you like, the pecking order of benefits for utilizing AI for content-related tasks. Increasing productivity comes out on top. Reducing costs, accelerated time to knowledge. So clearly getting sort of value and information from documents quickly. The ability to focus on more value-adding tasks. So if we can automate more of what we're doing, we can focus on other activities which are more enjoyable for ourselves and beneficial for the organization. The ability to scale production of content and assets, and that's a major benefit for organizations. For example, marketing departments need, as personalization of information becomes more of a priority, there's an emphasis on producing more content and assets for to meet the needs of specific personas and customer segments, and also improved morale among the workforce as a result of those above benefits. And in the reports, we talk about the information overload that a lot of employees within businesses are experiencing. We reference some research which shows that 80% of knowledge workers globally feeling they're experiencing information overload. And we know also from other research that the average knowledge worker spends more than 8 hours a week just searching for information. So the potential to save time is massive. And I'm now going to hand over to Will, who can sort of bring this to life a bit more.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Linus. So what we'll be looking at now is Acrobat AI Assistant. And I'll just be showing you a really short sort of demonstration about Acrobat AI Assistant. And effectively, what I'm going to be doing here is sort of reenacting a real life scenario that I did, in fact, find myself in, where I'll be sent a report by my manager, and I'll be then prompting Acrobat AI Assistant to generate me a script for a webinar. And I'll also be getting it to summarize it and send it to my, and then I'll send it to my manager as well. So I'll just hit play on this. So here I'll be going into my mail app. I'm going to be opening up the PDF within Acrobat on my iPhone. And I'm just going to go through this document and just familiarize myself with some of the content before I start to open my AI assistant. And once I've had a quick look, I can see that I've been left a comment as well by my manager, just to ensure that I know what I'm supposed to be doing with the PDF. And then I'm going to go ahead and write inside that ask a question box. Once I've written this, I can, I'll be generated a nice script and hopefully a good starting point, but not something that I'd obviously submit straight away. But something that I don't do here is I can actually refine this output. So I can, if I see something that I like in there, I can ask AI Assistant to give me a bit more of that sort of content. And once this is finished generating as well, we'll be given some number-like references just at the end of each parts of some of the sections. And this is a really cool part about the tool, because you can, once you click on these, you can see exactly from where in the document that you've actually gotten that content from. So it gives it more context to some of the answers if you're not too sure. So next is the part of the demonstration where I'm going to be getting it to summarize this report and get it ready to email to my manager. And again, a really good starting point. I obviously wouldn't copy and paste this in and email it away, but just again, yeah, really good just to read over and get some of that structure that I might want to send to him. And again, with the attributions too. Here, just at the end, I'm just showing how I can sort of copy this to my clipboard and put it into maybe Microsoft Teams, or maybe even email it on again. So effectively what I've showed you there is just the workflow from my email inbox into AI Assistant on my iPhone, and then I can again forward it back onto the email. So moving on to my next demonstration, I'll just be showing Acrobat again, but this time I'll be doing it on my desktop, and I'll be talking more about those sort of text to image type AI capabilities. So now I'm just opening up the report on Acrobat for the desktop, and now I can just sort of go through some of that content again and just find either a phrase or some part of text that I'd love to be generated into an image. So effectively what I'm looking for in the document here is a prompt. And once I've found that prompt, all I have to do in Acrobat with the power of Adobe Express is highlight that phrase, and then I should just get the notation to generate an image. What this is going to do is pop up the Adobe Express UI, and then on the left you can see that what I've highlighted is in the prompt box. So I can edit that if I wish to do so, but I can also change the image scale, I can change the content type, and I can also change the art style as well. So I can just go ahead and fiddle with this until I find the sort of the image that I feel like will be best placed in this document. And this is also just really fun to do as well, to see that the different types of content that you can get out there. But in this case, I found one with a similar sort of colors to the document that I'm using. And once I've done that, I can just select it and click apply. So now I can just move my image around the document, and obviously I can rescale it afterwards just to make it fit best with the content. So what I've showed you there is Acrobat on desktop. I've showed you a bit of Adobe Express as well, and how we can get text to images within Acrobat. So I think next I'll be handing over to Linus.
Thanks, Will. I love the way you've used our the research report from for that demo to bring that to life a bit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this chart shows the amount of hours that those taking the survey estimate that the average employee in their department could save through better use of AI technology. We really wanted to kind of get a handle on the potential time savings within businesses. And we can see here that the vast majority of respondents believe that the average employee could save at least 2 hours per week. So what we've tried to do in the research, we've extrapolated that, and even with I guess a sort of modest interpretation, conservative interpretation of this, even if just 1% of employees save 2 hours a week for an organization with 30,000 employees, that's equivalent to 15 full-time employees. And I think the savings and in terms of the in terms of work hours, that they're going to be huge over the next few months, few years, as organizations get better at utilizing AI. Okay.
So now, yeah, it's time for our poll question. And apologies, Linus, I actually can't see the poll question. So if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, absolutely. So the poll question, as we can see, how is your business utilizing Gen AI? And the options are content creation, summarizing articles and documents, generation of documents and reports, getting quick answers from documents, and proofreading and editing. So what we want to do here is look at the percentages coming through and then compare that with the survey we did last year as for this research. Okay, so for content creation, we've got about 33% of you saying you're already using Gen AI for that. Similar for summarizing articles and documents. For generation of documents and reports, the percentage is a bit lower, around 10%. Getting quick answers from documents, 16%. And proofreading and editing, that's 9%. So if we now look at the results from our survey, we can see the percentages are a bit higher. And I think from the poll, a lot of you joining today, as was clear from the first poll question, are at the beginning of your journey, but it's great to see a lot of you already utilizing Gen AI in these ways. In the research we carried out, we saw that just over half typically say they're already using AI for this range of use cases, where we've divided up here content creation for text and for images and video. But hopefully watching Will's demo has given some ideas around how you can leverage AI a bit more in your roles and within your departments. Okay, back to Will.
Thank you very much, Linus. So here's some of the use cases of Acrobat AI Assistant across our organization. AI Assistant can truly help every part of the enterprise. For example, individuals in marketing, sales, and finance will all have masses of documents that they'll need to get insights from, and then turn these into reports, summary emails, like I just did, and even presentations as part of their daily tasks. But one really interesting use case that I've seen is for HR here at Adobe. And they're utilizing AI Assistant to compare job applications. And on the next slide, we have a short video from Steph, who's from Adobe, working in HR, about how AI Assistant is helping her in this use case.
Hi, I'm Steph, and I'm a talent recruiter at Adobe. Today, I'll be utilizing Acrobat AI Assistant to help me review some pre-selected resumes I've received for a software engineer role. AI Assistant supports multiple documents and formats, so I can add these PDF and Word resumes. These resumes are all formatted differently. Manually reading and finding key points can be quite time-consuming. AI Assistant can help me comb through all of them much faster. In seconds, it generates this easy-to-read summary that shows candidates' years of experience, specialization, and key skills. I can scan through the 9 candidates to get the sense of everyone's background. It's a great start. I can click on the attributions to verify the responses are reliably sourced from my documents. AI Assistant easily jumps to the specific point across the different documents, making it very easy to navigate. Next, I want to hone in on top candidates that fit my hiring criteria. I'll add the job description and have AI Assistant match the top 5 resumes against it. In seconds, AI Assistant lists out the candidates with the most relevant experience. It highlights their key experiences and skills. It's easy to copy this information into an email I'm putting together for the hiring manager. Lastly, I can have AI Assistant help me sort candidates based on location, because that's another key consideration for the hiring manager. I get this easy to read list of where all the candidates are based. Some candidates did not add their location, but AI Assistant can pull their most recent work location instead. We're getting more and more resumes these days. Keeping up with reviewing and recommending talent is getting harder. AI Assistant helps me save hours in a week and makes me much more efficient.
So I personally love that example just because it displays how Acrobat AI has made Steph's life so much easier, but what actually also helped to make probably more informed decisions a bit more quickly and confidently, just because she's getting that side-by-side table view of the different candidates' experiences. And I'm going to hand over to Linus now to talk about attitudes and feelings towards AI.
Yeah, so the next part of research we're going to explore is around how people within organizations feel about it. There's been obviously a lot written in the media. Is AI coming after their jobs? What's it going to mean for them individually? But what we found in the research is that respondents were really pretty overwhelmingly positive about their feelings in terms of the impact AI could have on their work life. So in terms of positivity, around half said they were very positive, and then most of the rest said they were somewhat positive, and hardly any people felt negative about it. And that's probably because they're already recognizing the time savings that are possible through using sort of Gen AI as an assistant for all manner of tasks within their workflow. We also ask which, we can't see that here, but specifically which types of emotions were they felt with respect to Gen AI, and most people were pointing to excitement, to contentment, feeling more happy generally, and very few people said that it was making them feel sort of anxious or worried. So this chart really, I guess, shows where companies are at in terms of their AI journey. In the yellow there, whether organizations, whether it's business as usual. In the green, whether it's actually been operationalized into their day-to-day activities. The blue is the proportion who say they're experimenting but haven't really developed many proof of concepts yet. And the pink is being aware of the potential but not really using AI capabilities. And most respondents say their organizations either treating it as business as usual or it's been operationalized. But we can see an interesting difference here between digital leaders and the functional business leaders. So nearly a fifth of the digital vision leaders, that's the CIOs, CTOs, digital strategists, say that it's business as usual, but only 6% of functional business leaders say the same. So perhaps the conclusion here is that digital vision leaders have maybe a kind of slightly rose-tinted view of the extent to which Gen AI is already being used within businesses, and either functional business leaders don't see it that way as much yet, and seeing themselves more at the beginning of their journey, or functional business leaders aren't necessarily aware of how much sort of people at the coalface in their organizations are actually already using it. So there are still, as we saw there, a significant number of businesses who are still really only experimenting and at the start of their journey. It's a minority, but a lot of in terms of those early in their journey. But we also wanted to understand sort of culturally how cautious respondents felt their businesses were with respect to embracing AI. And there is understandably a significant amount of caution. A quarter said their businesses were very cautious. Around 60% said they were somewhat cautious. And this is, in the context of security, this is a good thing. But it may be that sort of over caution can slow organizations down and act as a roadblock to what they're doing. So as part of the research, we wanted to sort of delve in a bit more into what these kind of barriers were to greater uptake of AI. What are the challenges? These are the top 3 barriers to adoption, and they all concern security and fears around the ethics and legalities. So specifically, just over a third said that fears around security of content and documents were a major barrier to uptake. Around the same said the same for fears around security of the cloud, and around a quarter said that fears around ethics and legalities relating to technology were a barrier to uptake. They're not the only barriers. Lack of awareness about the technology, lack of training around how to use technology, and lack of budget are also barriers for significant numbers of organizations. So we really need to look at how those barriers can be overcome. In terms of the concerns around security, which we've identified as a major issue, this chart shows some percentages specifically from the perspective of IT respondents. So 2 out of 5 IT respondents said fears around security of content and documents were a major barrier, and 36% cited fears around the security of the cloud. And it's clear that protecting sensitive data in PDFs is crucial, especially in regulated industries. Data leaks are unfortunately a common problem. There's research we reference in the report from IBM, which shows that the global average cost of a data breach is now close to $5 million a year. And as people have moved more to remote working, that's obviously become more of an issue for IT departments to make sure everything is kind of locked down properly and that everything is secure. So it's no surprise that senior IT managers in particular are taking this very seriously. And Will can speak a bit more about what Adobe are doing to make sure everything is really secure and to allay those concerns.
Yeah, thank you very much, Linus. At Adobe, it's our mission to make sure that your data is safe. So we have an agnostic approach to large language models with the primary interest in providing the best service possible, but also keeping your data safe. Adobe will only ever use the documents you want us to use, and obviously have been given access to as you'll be using them within Acrobat. We only store data for a short amount of time for the pure reasoning of utilizing our AI technology. And effectively what this is going to do is protect data and privacy, keep projects agile with the flexibility of an agnostic approach, and also provide the most robust and reliable generative AI features. Next, to go back to one real life use case is TCS Services, and effectively, well, they're an IT consultancy firm. and they needed to generate a huge amount of content for a marketing event called Possible. But at this event, there was obviously loads of guest speakers, all throughout the day, but in different rooms. So just like a music festival or something like that, you can't be in every room at the same time. So inevitably, some of the guests were going to miss some of the speakers. So what Adobe helped TCS do was generate some newsletters. But to make this as easy and as quick as possible without costing a lot of money, Adobe utilized some of our Gen AI technologies. So they started off by getting the transcripts on, using Premiere Pro. They then pulled those transcripts into Acrobat AI Assistant to summarize those different talks. And then they used Express to generate some of the images like you've seen me do today, but also then sort of design these reports. And that saved them a lot of time, as no one had to manually sit in those meetings, type up the summaries, and then spend a lot of time designing these newsletters. And then they could then email out these newsletters to everyone that attended that event, that possible event. And then they could catch up on what they missed on. And I just thought that was a really good real life use case, utilizing a few different Adobe technologies. Obviously, again, you're in control of your data. It's critical for enterprises to know that their proprietary data remains safe and private in our AI solution. It also ensures that customer data is not fed back into the system for training. And our commitment to security, alongside the transparency of attributions, like you saw earlier, when you could see where that content was drawn from in those documents. It's also, has everything they need to speed up their workflows. And by addressing these security concerns, enterprises can feel a lot more confident that AI will enhance the business operations without compromising on security or integrity. I'm now going to hand it over to Linus, who's going to talk about our key recommendations.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, as we wrap up, I'm just going to try and sort of summarize some of the recommendations. There's obviously more in the report. But the first kind of overarching one is to really understand the use cases and build the business cases. We all know that Gen AI is really extremely powerful, but it's not a magic bullet that's instantly going to solve all your business issues in your particular department. What's really important is to identify specific use cases, whether that's automating document summaries or streamlining content creation, demonstrating the time savings and ROI. So there's definitely a case for sort of starting small, solving particular pain points and quantifying those benefits to help get more investment in this area. We saw earlier some of the challenges, and a lot of that's around kind of caution within businesses, and there's, I guess, inertia within a lot of businesses to actually operationalize the use of Gen AI across different departments. So it's important that there's discussion around some of these concerns to make sure that the benefits are really clearly understood, whether that's from sort of consultants within the business or people within the technology departments assisting specific functions, or outside kind of knowledge experts, or just kind of hands-on experimentation, which should definitely be encouraged and sharing of ideas. But there are obviously specific departments where content document management is particularly important, and it's a good idea potentially to start there and then work out how that kind of success can be translated into other business functions. the third recommendation, we talked a lot about security here, and one of the slides Will was going to talk about there was around the extent to which IT respondents see the security as being important, but clearly data privacy and protection are really important. So when you're selecting the right software, it's vital that you prioritize security and vendors which are really kind of going large on security and ensuring compliance with regulations in your specific sector. And organizations need clear kind of data governance policies as well. Okay, that concludes the recommendations, and I think we've got time, Will, to take maybe 2 or 3 questions that are coming in.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yep. So like we mentioned at the start, we've got time for a few questions. But just before we answer those, we'd love you to complete the survey that pops up on your screen now, just so we can help improve the future webinars. If you haven't yet as well, we encourage you to submit some of your questions at the side of your screen, and me and Linus can start taking a look at those once you completed your survey.
Shall I take a question first, Will?
Yeah, that'd be brilliant, mate. Because I'm just having a look for the box right now.
Okay, there's a question. How can sort of heads of department have more influence over the use of AI in their particular areas? Thanks for that question. So I think I've touched a bit on this in my recommendations, but it's really around understanding the use cases and building the business case for more investment. I think these functional business leaders we've talked about need to identify the specific challenges and pain points that can be addressed. Maybe there's an opportunity to do some sort of pilot projects to showcase the value. It may be that there's people in their teams who are kind of early adopters, if you like, who have got some good examples of how they're saving time. And training as well. There may be budget for, there's various organizations popping up who are offering training in these areas, or there may be some in-house training available.
Yeah, sorry.
It comes down to that sort of culture of experimentation, which should definitely be encouraged, whilst following any kind of organizational guidelines around things like security and ethics.
Yeah, sorry, Linus, you might have to pick the questions out for me if that's okay. I just can't find the Q&A pod. I don't know where it's gone.
Okay, I'm just drilling down. Yeah, if we don't get time to answer specific questions, we'll try and follow up as much as many of these questions as possible.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Some of these questions will coming through are very quite specific about what Adobe can do. There's a question here from Philip. Does Acrobat AI just analyze documents that you give it, or can it generate content from scratch as well?
So like we saw in my second demo, you can generate images from Adobe Express, but yeah, predominantly that is sort of one of the main selling points, is it's only really going to draw information from that documentation that you're putting in there. So you do sort of have that reliability of the fact that it will be the information, only the information that you've put in there and not from the internet and what have you. So that makes it a bit clearer. But again, Linus, sorry, I'm really sorry I can't see the pod, but
no problem. As I say, there are some sort of specific questions about pricing that maybe you can follow up with afterwards. So I'm going to just take one more question that's specific from the research perspective and our methodology. Jane's asking whether there are many differences in the survey results for the different countries, which is a great question. As I mentioned, our respondents were from the UK, Germany, and France. We found actually that the results from the UK and French respondents were generally fairly similar, including about the current usage of AI for content-related tasks, and also their feelings and emotions about AI. There was a bit more difference from the respondents in Germany, who were most likely to say they were using AI for a range of content-related activities. I think Germans were also over-indexing in the extent to which they believe their organisations are committed to harnessing AI to make them more productive. Okay, I think we're not going to have time to answer all these questions, so that's probably a good time to wrap up, Will.
Okie dokie. Yeah, that's yeah. Apologies about my chat pod, by the way, everyone. But just a reminder, the recording will be sent to your email in a few days. So just keep an eye out for that in your inbox. I know some of you had troubles with some of the audio and the video and what have you. So you'll be able to view it on there a lot more easily. I hope you enjoyed the webinar today, Gen AI in Action, 3 ways to transform document management and content creation. Again, please complete the survey if you haven't done so already, via the QR code shown at the bottom of your screen. And lastly, thank you everyone for attending. We hope to see you on the next one, and have a great day.